Last time, obviously, we covered, well, the end of the boom bubble of the British craft beer industry, brought to an end by Brexit, and covering the company that said, "Hey, we lost between 20 to 40% of our industry, of well, not our industry, but our exports." As you may remember, the company that was featured in that article, the Machine Brewing Co. That was well over half their income, they said. And every single time, every single time we see different industries facing somewhat different problems, but all of them really, really interconnected to one thing. And that is, of course, Brexit. One thing that you do see companies talking about a lot of, and indeed a lot of companies talking about that, is red tape. All this red tape that they never had to deal with before. It's making the UK less competitive. It's taking up a lot of time. It's really complex. It costs a lot of money. And if you do not dot the I's and cross the T's, well, it gets to the border and it gets sent back, costing you even more in time and money to be able to correct that mistake. And these checks and the failure rate is quite high, more than people think. Even in Switzerland, has a failure rate of about 20%. 20% because of incorrect paperwork or missing items in that paperwork, like the invoices or like things that were needed in that paperwork that should be there that aren't there. And one industry in particular that is really, really feeling the sting, according to this, and has exactly the same comments. I mean exactly to a T of any industry or any business we have covered in the past. You could replace the guy's comments we're going to go over here in a moment. You could basically copy and paste that in the comments and put it in the craft beer guy that we covered, or the animal seed feed firm that we covered almost 2 or 3 years ago at this point. In fact, any business that we've ever covered like this, you could basically just copy and paste these comments and just put it in because they're almost exactly the same, complaining about the exact same thing. All this paperwork. Get rid of this paperwork. What are they really saying, though? Businesses need to start saying it very clear and a very simple message. You don't just need to get rid of the paperwork, guys. We need to rejoin the Single Market and Customs Union. And when businesses start doing that, that's when things will be getting interesting. But they're getting very, very louder in all these problems, that all this barriers, that Brexit and the red tape and all this extra stuff that they had to do. They're getting louder and louder and louder about it. And even now, we have the art industry. The art industry, whose key moment is, if you've got an exhibition, well, you send it over to there, they have it for 6 months, and they send it back, etc., etc., etc. Being heavily affected by Brexit, because if you need to send a piece of art to France or Austria or Hungary or Spain, guess what? You've got huge amounts of paperwork. It can be delayed at the border, costing you time, costing you money. And it's, as we're about to hear from the guy's quote here, the UK has lost a competitive edge over its continental rivals that is making it just absolutely uncompetitive in a very, very competitive market. In this case, we're looking at the art industry. So we're going to go into the comments of this guy, because I think his comments here cut it straight to. So here's the first one that we're going to go over. So this is for Arqui, who is an art agency based in Kenwell in central London. And this is a company that we were talking about. They specialize in leasing and selling art to clients in the UK and abroad. And this is what their CEO and founder, Patrick McCree, had to say. He said, red tape is slowing down the import and export and adding more costs at customs. We need to make it easier, not more difficult. And given the international nature of the art market, if British businesses are to remain competitive on the global stage, he said. He said it very clearly. We don't need more checks, we need less. The only way you get rid of those checks is rejoining the customs union and single market. That's the only way you get rid of this. And that's what we need to see businesses go in. But it's not just someone like here, Sotheby's. Sotheby's, who is one of the biggest international auction houses, and especially when it comes to art. Even they are finding it hard. Even they are finding it hard, saying that it's that this week its profits had fallen by nearly a quarter of last year, and it was adding to that the UK's exit from the EU was adversely affecting its ability to move art to and from the EU. I mean, this is what, and this is it. They've had to cancel here a festival. The the Masterpiece Art Festival in London is seen as an example of the detrimental impact of the post-Brexit paperwork that was having on the industry in the UK. The organizer of the festivals, which was due to get underway in late June, saw the new red tape was partly to blame. They told Sky News that the number of galleries based in the EU which had applied to participate in this year's showcase was down 86% compared with 2018. And another London Summer Festival of Art, Olympia, was cancelled due to insufficient dealer interest. I mean, I, I, I think that sums it up. Just what's going on here once again. It's the exact same every single time we cover this. We did it talked about it last time we covered the beer industry. The exact same things are happening in every industry. It's the Brexit red tape, it's the cost, it's the delays, it's the time. Businesses want less, not more, meaning that they want a lot closer relationship with Europe. And that relationship is what the Tories do not want. Because the closer you have these relationships, the more people start to ask, well, why did we leave? This is what the Tories were terrified, or at least the Brexiteers were really terrified. This was why they pushed so hard to go for the hardest possible of Brexits. Because if you did this soft Brexit, and in reality, where nothing would change, but we would still be very much sort of having to take rules from the EU and not have a say, well, they would be worried that people would see that actually Brexit was a failure, that it was a waste of time. Why were we on the outside when we could be inside having an effect and making these rules? And shockingly, there would be a chance, there would actually be a very strong chance that the public perception of Brexit, had they gone and had they pursued their soft version of Brexit that they had pitched back in 2016, the public opinion polls on whether Brexit had been a success or failure, I'd be willing to bet that if they had pursued this soft Brexit that they had put forward in 2016 of leaving the EU politically but staying in the single market customs union, I guarantee you public opinion polls, a lot of them would be in favor of Brexit, saying, "Oh well, actually, it's not that bad as we thought. It's actually turned out quite well." You wouldn't be seeing the type of opinion polls we just covered last week. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.